All right, welcome to another episode of the Homestead Shop Talk podcast with Al from Lumna Acres, Ben from Holler Homestead, and myself, Jason from Sow the Land. And this is episode 76. So we're recording this after Thanksgiving. So I know maybe a week already went by, but what do you guys have for Thanksgiving? Anything good?
Turkey, of course it's good.
Was that your turkey, Al?
Yep. We actually had two of them over the weekend and everything. So I'm happy.
Turkeyed out.
Yeah, we also had turkey. Ate my friend Brian's turkey that he gave us. It was like a 40-pound turkey. It took 8 hours to cook that sucker, but it turned out really good. It was bomb.
Yeah, we had turkey. We had our turkey. We cooked in the oven roaster, and it was good. Yeah, I've had a few people send me their turkey pics of people who bought turkey from us. So
cool.
That was kind of fun to get those pics.
That's cool.
Yeah, sending me cooked turkey pics. So yeah, that was. What else? I'm trying to think what else we ate. I mean, we had a whole smorgasbord of stuff, and it was only us three. So we've been eating Thanksgiving for the last week. With I think Penelope made bread rolls and pumpkin pie, blueberry pie, different casseroles. We did smoke one of our Cooney hams in the smoker. And that took probably I think that was 8 hours, and that turned out good too. Although my pellet smoker, I think, was stalling on me because I think that's one thing about a pellet smoker. Like if it gets any kind of wetness, those pellets get all jumbled and it stalls. And if you don't clean it often, which I haven't been cleaning it, so I think that kind of messed it up, but it turned out good. It turned out all right.
So did you have that on Thanksgiving too, or did you have the ham over the weekend?
No, we had all that on Thanksgiving.
Wow, that's a lot of food.
That's a lot of food.
It was too much. It was so much food. Yeah, it was a lot of food, and that's why I said we ate it all week. But how can you not make that much food? Yep. You want to try all that. You got to have all the traditional Thanksgiving stuff. Yeah, stuffing. Yeah, I mean, we had everything.
How did the Cooney ham compare to a regular pig ham? Did you notice a difference?
I mean, I think it tastes more like red meat, like beef. It tastes good. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting to do a really side-by-side comparison.
Yep.
And raise them the same way, the same feed, and then do one of those. That might be interesting. I should bring a ham over, Ben, and we should do one of your pigs and
do a side-by-side ham comparison.
You got to cook it the same way though. Maybe cook it up, both of them on the smoker or something, and then just have that. That would be interesting.
I accept this challenge. This is right up my alley.
Yeah, that would be fun. So, is it still a thing that people camp out on Black Friday?
I don't know.
I highly doubt it.
Do you remember that though, growing up?
Oh yeah, we were talking about it on. I think it was Thanksgiving. I was like, so when I was a kid, back in the olden days.
When I was a kid, yeah.
There were people that would straight up go set up a tent after Thanksgiving dinner, and they would camp out in front of Circuit City or Best Buy.
Radio Shack.
They would, Radio Shack. And they would camp out there until Friday morning when the store opened. And the kids are looking at me like, why would they do that? I was like, because that's how you got the best deals.
Heck yeah. I never did. Did you guys ever do that growing up?
No.
Heck no.
I knew people who did, but I don't think I ever did. I would see it.
That's back when layaway was a thing. Do any of the stores even do that anymore?
That's right.
I'm pretty sure they still do layaway. But man, with online shopping, it's all about Cyber Monday. Today's Cyber Monday. That's where the real deals are to be had. And I don't know, it's become so corporatized. Black Friday prices and stuff, that started 2 weeks ago. My emails went from normal spam to getting 200 emails a week. It's insane.
It's like Black Friday week. It's no longer just 1 day or 2 days. It's
I think some places it's been going on for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I remember one holidays. This was way back then. I was a shoe salesman in Mervyn's.
Oh, Mervyn's.
Did you have a Mervyn's, Al?
Nope.
I I don't even think they have Mervyn's anymore. Not that I know of.
They went the way of Radio Shack.
Yeah, it was like Miller's Outpost. And it was super packed. I think back then there was layaway. I'm trying to remember. But I worked in the shoe department. People used to put shoes on layaway.
What kind of shoes are you buying that you got to put on layaway?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like, I think because, or maybe it was like on a sale or something. They wanted to keep the sale, but they couldn't afford the shoe. So they would put it on layaway and then pay for it later or something, just so they could get the sale.
Back before credit cards were a thing.
Yeah, the simple days.
Imagine being like a UPS guy or a FedEx guy right now, or even post office worker delivering all the Amazon packages and all the Black Cyber Monday packages.
Oh, yeah. Or postal worker. My mom worked for the post office, and she used to tell me some stories. But other than that, I had a good week. You guys had a good week?
It's been a good week.
It's been a real good week. It's been a busy week, but it's been good. Thanksgiving was really nice. Actually, I don't know. I think it's the first time since we've been living in North Carolina that I actually felt like it was a weekend, like a 4-day weekend. You know, kind of living the way we do and doing what we do for a living. You know, the saying, every day is either Saturday or Monday. And it honestly felt like a weekend this past weekend. So it was cool.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, Al? Talk about what you did. Did you get snow?
We did. We didn't get as much as what they were calling for. They were calling for 8 inches. We got 2 inches, I'd say. It was snowing it was snowing hard Thanksgiving Day till like 11, and then it turned over to rain, and then it switched over to snow later on. But we got a lot of freezing rain and ice, I guess. When we came home from Thanksgiving, our cows were out. I'm like, I gave them a whole bill of, hey, what's going on? Well, there was like an inch of ice on the electric fence. We still have them out like in a temporary fence. We just been moving around still. And the fence was just like sagging down on the grass. I'm like, oh, yeah, that'll do it. But they were up at the driveway. They followed us into the driveway to the house. So we have like we call it like the main road. That's our road. And then we turn off to go into our driveway for the house. So they followed us up into our driveway. We went in the house, got our stuff. I come out, they're like waiting at the side-by-side. So we just turned the side-by-side, and they just followed me down to the barn. They're like, hey guys, you're late. We want dinner. Like, let us in.
Yeah. They're in the side-by-side, like waiting for you to get in.
They're like standing like right at the back of it. Like, come on, let's go. Mooing at us.
Yeah.
Like, yep, we'll be there in a minute.
I mean, it's not such a big deal if they get out at your property, right? Like,
no. Yeah,
there's nowhere for them to go.
No, not really. They'd have to go for a pretty good hike to get anywhere.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. They're usually looking for food, or they want to get, they want their alfalfa and hay for nighttime, but so they usually head back to the barn to look for us.
That right there is why you bucket train your animals.
Yep.
Like it can kind of be a hassle when they come looking for you, but that situation right there, they're like, they just see you and they're like, the snack wagon has arrived. They just go wherever you need them.
Yeah, it's handy for sure, especially with pigs. Pigs are terrible to herd, so if they come, they know your food and they're looking for you, they'll move or follow you. That's perfect.
Your pigs are doing good?
Yeah, we haven't yet. We gotta figure out, and we gotta move them into like their winter housing, and then we can start breeding. We gotta get that going on. I wanted to do it last month, but we want to move them for winter housing. It's just been super muddy lately, so I'm like, they're just going to rut up and ruin the paddocks we have. So I'm like, I want to wait till it freezes up some before we move them into those areas. So I've been trying to wait. I think winter is finally here, so we'll be able to move them shortly.
Yeah.
But I was hoping to have them in last month, November, so that way they'd have piglets end of February, beginning of March. Now we'll probably be looking at like end of March, April.
Yeah.
Push it back a month, but I don't think it'll be that big of a deal.
You think you'll sell piglets? Is that the plan?
It depends on how many we have. When I was at the feed store, somebody was asking, and I was saying something about we have breeder pigs now, and they're like, "Oh, if you're looking to sell any, let us know because we can't find any." And the guy at the feed store is like, "Hey, if you're selling them, let me know." He's like, "We'll put them up on our bulletin board for you." So he's like, "We always have people looking."
That's cool.
Yeah, but just one. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see how many we have. We might want to, if we have like 5 or so, we might want to just keep them all, do some suckling pigs, do some different pig roast and stuff like that. But
yeah,
once you eat that first suckling pig, it's all downhill from there.
It's all downhill from there. So we found out we have beavers back up in our property. So there's like 3 or 4 spots on the property that the beavers have flooded out before we bought the property, and they're super hard to get to. So the beavers have been trapped out and they're gone. They did a lot of damage, and it's kind of like remnants of the old beaver ponds, and you can't get rid of them. So they haven't been back to any of those. Every year since we've owned the property, this time of the year, we always have new beavers somewhere. So like the first year they were down by like the big road, and they're trying to block we have like 2 4-foot culverts, and they were trying to block those up and flood out the roadway. So we had to trap them out there the first year. The second year it was kind of down in the same area. And then last year it was like 2 miles up in the woods. And the beaver dam wasn't on our property, but they were coming into our property and cutting down a bunch of trees and trying to dam up onto our property. So we trapped those guys out, but we didn't get them all. But I didn't mess with their dam. And then this past spring, when we had that huge flooding, we spent a lot of time just kind of like checking things out. And I went and I looked, that beaver dam was blown out. So I'm wondering if those are the beavers that moved to a different part of our property now, and they started flooding out a new area. But we saw a lot of damage. We spent like 2 days trying to find out where they were. Because the first spot we found, there was probably, trying to think, like 10 to 15 like trees that were like 8-inch trees, just chewed and toppled down like toothpicks all over each other, not taken. And then so we went, it's like in the video we show it because we put the drone up, but there's like one old beaver dam up front, another one behind it, and then in the woods even more, there was a third beaver dam. So I started like looking at those spots. Well, that's not where they were. We went back up the second day. We found the first clump that they chewed down, and we kept walking straight. They chewed down another clump of big trees. There was probably like 20 trees in that pile. And then I shot down, and that's where they're damming up. But it's kind of like the same area, but a different spot of where they were before. So we put traps out. Trying to think, I think it took like 4 days before we got our first beaver, and we got two that day. I went back, and they'd cut down two more big trees, like 6-inch trees. I'm like, you guys aren't even doing anything with the ones that are already there.
Are they pretty skittish? Like, are they like
They're nocturnal.
Oh, they're nocturnal?
They're nocturnal. They do most of their work. Nope. So one of the times we were out, I think I saw it. Like it must have been going to its den, or it came out of its den to see us. I just saw like splashing in the water over by their den. I never saw the beaver. But so I'm trying to think if we've ever seen, I think we've seen like 1 or 2 the first year, like swimming in the creek. But other than that, the only time I ever see them is on game camera, and they come out at night.
Okay.
So what I do is I go and I find a dam that they have, and I dig a little trench, and then I got a, what are they, 330 conibear traps. So they're kind of like a big mouse trap. They're like a box, and then there's like 2 sides, and then you squish them together. They have springs that load, and then there's a little bar that goes on top, 2 fingers. So they trip this finger, and the two springs, or the 2 metal boxes, like flip over, and they like pinch the beaver like right inside, and it's instant, like a mouse trap. But so
it kills them.
It kills them instantly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll dig out a dam, and then I put it in front of it, so that way because they want to fix the dam. Like if you do it by their den and you're lowering the water by their den, they want to plug that back up because they got to have so much water in their den area. And then if it's not in their den, if it's just another area they're trying to plug up, what I've always was told is they hate the noise of running water, so they got to go back and plug it. I don't know if it's true or not, but there's something to do with it. So they always go back and they plug it up, and that's when you get them.
Gets them every time.
Gets them every time.
Like, damn.
I've seen people do other kinds of sets, but I've always just done the conibear traps, and that's always worked for us.
You don't need to put bait in there or nothing? They just kind of...
So the first 2 years, we've just always did the traps, digging out by the dams. Last year, I didn't really have like a main dam area they were using on our property. They had like a bunch of runs, and when they were cutting down trees, so the area where they were coming in and using them as runs, I put lure on it, which is basically the caster of another beaver. So basically, you just stick that on the trap, and they come over because they're like, "Wait, who's in my territory?" So they come over looking to see what beaver moved in.
Oh wow! Okay. What do they eat?
Vegetation. So they eat like all the trees, the bark. I don't know if they eat the trees per se, like the inner fiber. I think they eat the bark, and then they eat like the leafy greens and stuff like that.
You guys want to know a fun fact about beavers? Did you know that they take the glands out of a beaver's back end and they refine that down, and that's where raspberry flavoring for candies and stuff like that comes from?
They also use it in whiskeys now.
Raspberry flavor?
Yep. If you see any, like, mainly candies is what I know. I know it's in all sorts of stuff, but it's made out of beaver butt.
Yeah.
Little fun fact about beavers.
They use it for all different flavorings. I think it's in a lot of perfumes, makeups, and now they're using it in whiskeys. We have a friend that has a brewery, and he was like, "Oh, you need to sell you need to save the castor and sell it to the local whiskey shops around here that brewing up the whiskeys." He's like, they use it in whiskeys. My wife's like, "Yeah, I don't want that in my whiskey."
It sounds good after a long day. Some beaver butt whiskey.
Like, we were joking around it. How did they come up with the ideas of this?
Who was like, "Hey man, like the trappers out on the trap line, they're like, bro, you gotta taste this.
It tastes like raspberry."
I think it was more like they were punking each other, and like they're like, like they're sitting around the campfire, like giving each other a hard time and playing a card game or something. And they're like, "Well, if you lose this game, you got to eat that, or you got to,
Hey, that's pretty good. Next thing you know, he's a billionaire.
Right.
Something I would like to know is, like, okay, that's a thing. Are there beaver farms? Like, they have to be coming up with a lot of this stuff if it's going in food-like products. Right. Are there beaver farms?
I don't know. That's what I was wondering, because it's not a huge thing for people to trap beavers much anymore. And anytime we do it, we get like a ton of hate on it. But it's like they're in the rodent family. They're like a rat, just a big giant rat with a tail. They're very destructive. But
you would think that it would be some kind of farm. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where's my fact checker at? Can you look that up?
Let's see. We'll Google it real quick. We should ask.
There you go. Al knows it. Yeah. We're not recording this live, so I guess we can do it.
Are beavers farm raised? It says beavers is an animal that can be easily farmed. They become a good source of low cholesterol meat, pelts, fat, and healing properties. Farm breeding of Europe. So it sounds like over in Europe they must.
That's what you should do, Al.
Get into beaver farming.
That's what you need to do for your land. Be a big beaver farmer.
We skinned them and we saved the pelts. And we got them salted, and they're in the freezer for now until we figure out what we can do with them.
What's the plan,
So we were watching Meat Eater like 2 weeks ago, and he was out trapping beavers or something, and he was like, he's out west in like Montana, I believe, when he was doing it. He was like, "This is a nice beaver, but it's like a reddish brown." He's like, "That's the color we have out here. The real good beavers that are worth money are like in the Northeast, they're like a black or dark chocolate color." He's like, "Those are the ones that people make coats and stuff out of and hats." Like,
wow.
And he's like, "But what people don't realize is most cowboy hats are made out of beaver." He's like, "They'll take these ones and they just grind up the hair and they make like a felt out of them, and they press them into the cowboy hats."
No kidding.
Yeah. So I think the way he said it was kind of like, like people don't like wearing animals nowadays. He's like, but they don't realize all their cowboy hats are beaver.
So corporations have had to get creative how they use animal products.
Yep. So you're making a cowboy hat?
What's that?
You're gonna make a cowboy hat?
We'd like to see if we can find a place so that we could send the beaver hair, the pelt in to have a cowboy hat made. So if anybody knows of a place that does it, we haven't found one yet. But if you know of a place, let us know.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, yep, this cowboy
hat would be
hat.
Cool.
This is something that we trapped off the property.
Lemon Acres cowboy hats.
Right. So this one is it's in the woods a good ways. Like we got to drive to it, but then off of our trail, we got to hike probably quarter of a mile to get to it. So it's not an easy hike. It's not like you could just drive like you side by side to it or anything. You can't even take a sled with you. It's just rocky, bumpy, and stumpy. So I packed in, set the traps up the first day. And then I was like, all right, I needed more beaver trap stands because I lost one year, I guess. And then I'm like, I need to order one of those packs. They make, I don't know if you've ever seen like the trapping packs. They're like a plastic rectangle box. So I ordered one of those, and I'm glad I did because when we finally got the beavers, we got 2 of them. One of them, I'm going to say weighed like 65 pounds. And the other one was
That's a big beaver.
Wow.
And the other one was 50 pounds. So I had 2 beavers the first day, and I'm like, how am I going to get these back? I'm a quarter of a mile in the woods, and this is terrible walking. And the day that I got them, it was downpouring rain, like freezing rain. I was like, oh, I don't want to keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
So I put one on the back, and I kept carrying one. I'd like carry it like 100 feet, throw it, take a break, walk over to it, pick it up, carry it for like another 100 feet, throw it. I'm
Wow.
I'm working for these beavers.
That's cool though. I've never seen a beaver live like that.
No.
That'd be neat.
Two of them had like half moon bites out of their tails, but they were haled up. Like looked like regular beaver tail leather, I guess you'd call it. So one of them was fairly old, and then the other 2 were, I don't know, they were big size. And the last one I caught, I'd say probably got like a 60 to 65 pound beaver. One was in the 50 pounds. And one was probably like 45. And the last one we caught was probably like 35, 40 pounds.
I guess I didn't realize how big beaver were. Those are big.
Yeah, they get pretty big. They don't look it, and then you pick them up. It's like, I don't know if it's all the fat on them, and their fur's like really thick, and I don't know where the weight is. And then the tail's just all fat. And that's another delicacy. Like that's like a big thing is beaver fat.
So we gotta try.
Right. I've had beaver meat before. The first year we trapped, I had to try it. We cooked it in a crock pot, and I'd say it tasted like beef, but with the texture of rabbit. I don't know if you guys have ever had rabbit before.
It was like gamey or anything, or
nope.
I mean, would you know like, oh, this is beaver, or this tastes funny?
Yeah. Nope. No, it tasted like beef. It was like a beefy chicken, I guess, or a beefy rabbit's got kind of a different texture. It's not like texture like a chicken, but it was a little bit. That's what I would say. Okay. It tasted good. It's just kind of one of those things. It's like I'm eating beaver. Like it's different.
Eating game animals like that, you got to be careful who you tell, because some people are like, "Yeah, that's cool," and some people are horrified. So I've come to realize it's like, well, if it moves, I'll eat it at least once. I just got to try it.
Yep.
But there are very few people who I will tell, like, oh yeah, I've had that. There's some the kids have told some people, hey, do you know what? You take any animal, like a squirrel. Do you know what squirrel tastes like? And people are just like, you eat squirrels? How could you, little fluffy critters? And it's like, whatever.
Yeah,
it is funny the comments you get on stuff like that.
Yeah.
So as of this video, or as we're recording the podcast, the video went out of us going and finding all the damage and setting the traps. And we've gotten some pretty bad emails and comments just for setting out the traps.
Oh.
The video of us trapping and skinning will be out by the time the podcast is out. So I'm sure we'll be getting even worse emails and comments. But it's one of those things. It's part of like country living. Like sometimes you have to.
Yeah,
deal
absolutely.
With everybody's like, just leave them, let them be. I'm like, they'll destroy the property. You should see the destruction on this property from the past. Like the whole road was like washed out in 3 areas. One area was probably like a quarter of a mile long. And then there's our first pond that was all flood. I didn't see like the flood damage of the pond, but you can see remnants of it. There was a beaver den in the pond. You can see that they started building up and like flooding out higher. They like where the bank is, that the dam is for the pond. They built that up, and then they flooded it over the pond, up over the road, and the roadways all washed out, and they were cutting into the banks, and there's like ruts and holes everywhere. And then further up, the top of like the road, that whole area, there's probably like 20 or 30 acres they must have had flooded out before.
It's crazy.
Do you explain that in the video? Like
you can, or I do a little bit, but
I mean, yeah.
People just, I don't know. It's like, did you not listen? Do you not pay attention? Like this stuff, it's like,
right.
How dare you kill that beaver? You should relocate. And I'm like, first of all, it's illegal to relocate animals. And second of all, why would I want to give my problem to somebody else? Like, that's not fair.
Yep.
Like, if I trap a rat in my house, do you want me to go put it in your house? Like, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's a rat. You gonna trap a rat and just let it go in your neighbor's yard or your neighbor's house later on?
Yeah.
Hey, it's just something about wild animals. There was 10 seconds of me processing one of the deers I got, and oh man, people threw a fit. Oh, how dare you shoot Bambi? And it's just like, come on. Like, that's what we do. Like, we grow our own meat. Like, we're all about this life. So it's okay to have pigs and cows and chickens and all that, but draw the line at a deer. Like, I'm getting my apples back somehow.
I do get a kick out of that. We're all in like the homesteading niche, but yet anytime you do anything like that, people have have a fit over it. Not everybody, but there's a good amount of people that like are all whatever. You butcher a chicken, you butcher this. It's like, well, then why are you watching people who homestead? Like, this is part of what we do and why we're doing what we're doing.
Exactly.
You can explain things and over-explain things, but sometimes just people just don't understand. And that's fine, I guess. They just don't understand. No matter what we say, we'll change that.
I just find it funny though. Like, why are they watching that homesteading stuff? Like, if that's, I don't know, what are they into it for? What are they just want to see animals? I don't know.
I've wondered that myself.
Right.
So that was the fun part of the fun for the week.
That was good.
That was
Did
good.
You do it on Thanksgiving?
No.
That was before?
That was before Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we set the traps out before Thanksgiving, found all the stuff before, and then was it right before or right after Thanksgiving? I think it was the day before Thanksgiving we found them. I put them up in the big tractor bucket overnight, went back out the next day. There was another one, so we skinned all three of them the next day. So it was right around Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Did the whole family out there skinning?
Just me and Gina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Gina's out there helping. So we just got to figure out what we want to use the pelts for. If we can find a place that'll make the cowboy hats first, that'll be the first option. And then if not, a nice pair of beaver mittens sound pretty warm.
That sounds neat. Yeah.
That does sound pretty cool.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
You going to try tanning those hides yourself, or are you going to send them out?
I think we'll do it ourselves. Because if you look into it, it's like 6 months to a year before you get them back if you send them out to get tanned. It's like, I don't know. I don't think I can be that patient.
I'm currently sitting on a finished tanned buckskin. So, like, a week, 2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work, but...
What did you use? Did you use eggs again for your tanning solution?
Yeah, I did eggs. I did 2 hides in 2 days. I did both my doe and my buck. The buck was substantially harder to tan. It was a lot thicker and a lot bigger. I mixed up my eggs, and then I just left them in the bucket in the barn because it was kind of cold, but it wasn't quite cold enough. And so the eggs kind of had a funky smell the next day. So the buck skin, it doesn't smell bad because I put a lot of essential oils in the eggs to help preserve stuff, but it does have a weird smell that the other skin doesn't.
You think it'll go away, or?
Yeah, it's going away. I have it in the house because it's so cold out there. It wasn't drying in the barn. And so I brought it up here and I've got it draped over my chair so it can dry. But yeah, it's really cool. Like, I've thought about making a whole video about this, but it's like, man, I would just get beat up showing the whole process.
Yep. How's the cowhide doing that you did last year?
Aside from losing a little bit of hair here and there, it still looks like a winter coat, so it hasn't lost that much hair.
Awesome.
our living room is an extreme high traffic area, and it's held up really, really well. Like I've been pleasantly surprised. It has had all manner of body fluid on it from kids, I mean, you name it, that poor rug has had it, and I'll just clean it up. And it doesn't clean like a rug. A rug, you got to get the shampoo out and do all that. This thing, you just clean it up, put some paper towels down or something, get it dry, and maybe brush it. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's held up really nice.
Then we got to move our our new egg layers into their winter chicken coop for the year. That worked out nice. So we had to clean it out because we used it as our chick brooder, and I didn't clean out the chick brooder. I'm like, it's summertime. I'm like, it's not fun cleaning out a brooder in the summertime. I'm like,
I still need to do my brooders. I haven't cleaned mine out yet.
Gina kept giving me a hard time, like, you gotta clean out your brooder. I'm like, it's dry. I'm like, it doesn't smell. I'm like, I'll clean it out when we need to move chickens into it when it's cold. Yeah. I said, and then I can wear my respirator. I can be suited up and like I'm not sweating. That was the best way to do it. So we got the egg layers in, and we put in a daylight or a full spectrum light out in there. I got to get a timer and some more lights so that way, because right now it's like we turn it on in the morning and we go out and do milking, and then we shut it when we lock the animals up. So they probably get like 8 or 10 hours of light. So I'd like to get them a little bit longer. I wouldn't want to be in the dark that long myself. So we got to I ordered a timer. The lights we ordered, they're supposed to be like a built-in timer, and they'll come on. They know your longitude and latitude, and they'll come on like with your or something. But I was like, they don't work. So I'm like, I'm just gonna buy one of those timers you just stick into an outlet, set it, and forget it kind of thing. But,
do they live in there full time, or do they have access to the outside?
No, right now they're inside the coop full time. We're gonna make in the barn edition. We're gonna make a run, and that'll be undercover, and we'll have more fresh air that can get into that area, and then they can go from that into the coop. But right now they're just inside.
Yeah.
But they've been laying. It's just crazy. We'll go out there. We do chores at 7. There's already like 4 or 5 eggs laid. I'm like, I've never had chickens that laid eggs that early in the morning.
Yeah.
Do you have a hard time with the cold weather if you don't get to the eggs soon enough, having them freeze and burst?
When it gets in the negative digits, we do. Even if if they lay them during the day and we don't get them till like later afternoon, if it's like 20 below zero, they freeze and crack. But I would say if it's not below zero, we don't really have an issue. I think inside the barn, it stays a little bit warmer now that we have all the animals in. The water was frozen this morning in the barn, but I think this morning it was like 21 degrees out. And then the last few days it's been mid-20s to upper 20s, and the water in the barn hasn't been freezing, which it was before when we had just the cows and Brutus in the barn. But once we brought the chickens in, they've been keeping the barn like a little bit warmer because it's like nobody's water has been freezing since the chickens been in there, except for this morning. So I'm like,
a lot of hot little bodies.
Right. I'm like, yeah, I like this. Less having to break ice.
Yeah. That is real nice.
Yeah. So we just all of a sudden turned to winter. Like we got that snow forecasted. We got some rain, but it was like once that came, now we've been cold and we haven't got really above freezing at all during the day. And looking at the forecasts, I don't think we're gonna get above freezing at least for the next 10 days. So looking at your guys' forecast, like 40s and 50s, I'm like, I'm missing that weather.
See, and we're over here thinking, ooh, it's cold.
Yeah.
Right. I know you're saying they're like, yeah, it's cold. I'm like, what? 40s and 50s during the day and sunny? That's beautiful.
And every time I say it's cold on the video, I'm like, okay, it's cold here. Okay, I understand it's cold. It's colder somewhere else, but
it's cold for us.
Yeah, it's cold for us, yes.
We're from California. It's really cold for us.
Right.
Oh, man. I think about like this current weather we currently have right now. If we had this weather in Bakersfield, in California, the whole city would shut down. Like everything would shut down. It gets below freezing. Like I remember a couple times the weather would get down to like, I don't know, maybe like 29 overnight. and it would just be carnage because everybody's water lines would have busted. Nobody would have water. I mean, it was just like, man.
Yeah.
So one thing I've been paying attention more to this year, with it getting dark out earlier, I've been like, counting down to like, it's so many days away from the first day of winter because that's winter solstice. And then I'm like, we start gaining daylight. So I'm like, we're only 20 days away now.
Yeah.
So I've been like putting my perspective, like the days are going to get longer. I don't know if you guys have found yourself ever doing that, but.
Oh yeah, I do that every year.
I find that doing it this year, counting down that way, it's not as dreadful. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, okay, like little perspective here. When does it get dark up there? Like it's currently 7:30 here, and it's been dark since I don't know 5 o'clock.
I'll tell you when the sun sets. So the other day we were out in the woods, and it was 2:30, and it was like dusk, but it was a cloudy day. So I was like, "Oof, this is not fun." Our sun set at 4:10. Last light was at 4:43. So probably not far from you guys.
So our sunrise right now is at like 7:19 in the morning, and sunset is 5:14 in the evening.
We're 7. What was your morning? We're 7:06 sunrise.
7:19 to 5:14.
So you get more than us because we're 7:06 to 4:10. So you have like an extra hour.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, like watching channels on YouTube of people who are up in Alaska, and they'll have like 2 hours of daylight, and the daylight is really just dusk. Like it gets kind of dusk and then it's dark again. That would be a hard time. But then at the same time, like you get an hour and some change less daylight than us. That would be hard. Like it's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. Had to adjust, I would think.
Because any idea what you guys had in California?
I want to say our, latitude, longitude, whatever, is real similar. Where we were at in California was real similar to here. We just get a lot colder, and we have 4 seasons. But I don't know. I don't feel like it's darker longer in the wintertime. Now, I will say I do feel like the summers, like in the middle of summer, it's lighter later. Like I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm outside more now that we live out here. But when it's like 9:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the dead of summer, and it's still kind of dusky, that's kind of weird.
Yep. There's no stopping.
That's right. Imagine being in Alaska in the winter.
Oh my gosh, I got 2 hours. What am I gonna do?
Better have some good blackout curtains.
I know.
Yep.
I know. You can't record video in the dark.
No, but in the summertime, when you only get like 2 hours a night.
Oh yeah.
That's got to mess with you, I would think.
Right.
And then going from one extreme to the other, like 20 hours of sunlight, and then you have 2 hours of sunlight in the winter.
Did either of you guys ever work like a night shift?
Yes.
So I find myself like when it, especially now, like this month, December, like this is the darkest time of the year. I find myself like I settle into it. It's like that mindset I had when I was working nights. You just kind of embrace the darkness, and like this is the time of year I want to like go park down in the barn, light a fire in the stove, and just make knives all night long. That kind of stuff. I don't know. It's weird. Like I feel that, but at the same time, it gets dark and it's like, okay, it's bedtime.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's two sides of me.
Right. I try to embrace the darkness and have a little bit more downtime, I guess. But yeah, then like you said, there's like, I can do other stuff now. What you get into this week, Jason?
So we had a fridge break.
Uh-oh.
It was like a week before Thanksgiving. So we have 2 fridges, right? Like we have one fridge that came with the house, and it was like this giant fridge, and it was brand new. And I was like, great, brand new giant fridge. But then, our kitchen is super tiny, and it just didn't fit. So eventually we bought a smaller fridge for the kitchen, and then we moved the big fridge down in our basement. And it's that big fridge that broke. It went out. So So I guess this is a thing, which I found out. It was one of these fancy fridges with it's all digital, like a big old panel in the front. It's all like lit up and stuff. That started going out, and so that started like the whole fridge started not cooling. And so Lorraine looked it up, and I guess when you have a power outage, which we had for the hurricane, I guess those type of fridges, it breaks them, like it messes them up. Because when we bought the new fridge, we just bought a plain fridge, right? And nothing fancy. And so when the delivery guy came to deliver it, he was just asking me questions, like, hey, asking me what's up, like, why are you getting a new fridge and stuff like that. And he's like, you get a new fridge because of the power outage. He's the one who brought it up. And I'm like, are you guys getting that? Like more of that? Like lately? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, these type of fridges, he's like, we're doing deliveries and picking these up all week because ever since the hurricane, those type of fridges, they just go out. And I'm like, wow. So I guess it's a thing. Like if it has a fancy like keyboard thing in the front, the power outages mess them up.
I thought you were going to say you didn't upgrade your virus scan on your refrigerator and it got a virus and died or something. Seeing those fridges, walking through Lowe's and seeing a screen on the dadgum refrigerator, it's like, come on, This is too much.
Yeah. It's too high tech. And then they're going to break when you get a power outage?
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
So did you have that plugged into a generator a lot? During your...
I think we did plug it into the generator off and on.
I wonder if that's what's doing it. Like if it's like the power surges.
Could be.
Generator that's messing with the electronics. That would be my guess. Or it was when your power came back on the final time. That might have gave like a power surge or something.
Yeah. I mean, all the rest of our, fridges and freezers are fine. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It was ever since then, though. Like, we didn't Lorraine just did some research and, like, we were trying to figure out how we could fix it first. And then she looked that up and saw that. And then not until the delivery driver told me that, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's a thing. So anyways, we got a new fridge. It's just simple, I guess, we're starting to get dumb electronics, like a dumb fridge.
Yep.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. So that was super helpful.
Could you take advantage of any like Black Friday deals on it?
We did a little bit. Yeah, there was some sales going on that we waited and waited. And we got a little bit of deal. It wasn't, they're not super crazy deals, but it's something.
Yep.
So now we're back to 2 fridges, which is great. So yeah, so we did I finished my end wall on my high tunnel, and I finally finished the high tunnel. So looking back at my old videos, I actually got this high tunnel in December of last year. So it's been a year, I guess, of building this high tunnel, and finally done. So I decided to go with a sliding barn door style, and I way overbuilt it because initially I wasn't going to do that. Went from a single door to a double door to a Dutch door, and then I kept on changing things, and next thing you know, it's like 3 weeks went by, and I was like, ugh, I better pick something and go with it. And so then I finally was like, okay, sliding door. And so then, instead of taking the whole thing apart, I just kind of added wood, kept adding wood, and next thing you know, I made a sliding door. So it's definitely more wood than I need, but it's sturdy, it works, and I like the way it turned out. I think it turned out pretty good. Lorraine likes it, so
it looked pretty cool from what I saw in the video.
Yeah, it was good.
How wide is it?
It's about 4 feet.
That's cool.
Doorway. Yeah, I think it's a 12 foot, 10 foot track maybe.
Can you drive your mini truck through it?
No, not on that end. My mini truck is not that small. On the other end, so that other end's wider. So this side is just basically for wheelbarrow or just walking in and out of. So yeah, I'm glad I got that done. What else? Jesus, is that all I did this week?
Thanksgiving.
That and Thanksgiving. We had a good Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving Day, I said to myself, I'm not going to try to do much. I basically started a fire outside, and I tried to babysat that all day. Wasn't cooking in it or nothing, but I just wanted to burn some sticks, just stuck them in there.
What was your weather for Thanksgiving?
Was it raining? It rained a little bit in the morning, I think.
On Thanksgiving Day?
Did it?
I think I don't remember.
I thought it rained a little bit in the morning, not heavy. And then
yeah, it was first thing in the morning it did. And then it was like a beautiful day after that.
Yeah, because everything was wet because I was trying to start the fire and everything was wet, and it actually was a nice day. It was just kind of just hanging out, and watching cooking the ham, and the girls cooked their food and inside, and that was it. We ate early, and that was it. I think we did watch a movie that night, but that was it. Yeah, so I moved. Oh, I know I did. I moved pigs. I moved pigs every week. Had an eye doctor's appointment. That's what I did. My eyes keep getting worse every year. Do your eyes get worse every year, Al?
Not every year. I got an appointment to go see them. They're getting weaker, or whatever they say. But it's been a few years. I don't go to the eye doctors.
You don't go once a year?
No.
Oh, okay. I've been going once a year for the last 3 years, and every year they're saying I need stronger glasses.
Where do you get your glasses from? Do you get it from the eye doctor?
Just from there, yeah.
Don't. Get your prescription and then go on Zenni.com or Zenni Opticals.
Zenni?
You can get Zenni. You can get these glasses for like $10 or $50.
What?
Yeah, I'll order.
Let me write that down.
Like 5 pairs, just because if you're grinding, you're painting, you get them all nasty and dirty. And yeah, it's like when we first started doing it, this was probably 10 years ago. Somebody told us, one of my sister's friends, like every day she had new glasses on. I'm like, how can you afford like different glasses all the time? She's like, oh, I just go to Zenni. And she's like, they're like $9.99 for your prescription and your frame. And you can try them on. Like you take a picture of yourself and then you can put different glasses on your head to see how they look. I just get the same ones. So I'm like $10-$20. I'm like, I ruin my glasses so fast.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. I'm going to check that out. Yeah, I don't know if they're messing with me. Like, oh, yeah, you need glasses. No, I think I do, though. Because I'm like, I can't even see now. Like, if I take my glasses off, you guys are blurry. You look better now. You don't need glasses yet, Ben?
No, you guys are blurry, but it's because of my lame internet connection.
Good worse. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think it is.
I actually have really, really good vision. My vision kind of started declining in a machine shop wearing crappy safety glasses all the time. And I've been out of machine shop for 7 years now, and my eyesight has actually come back. So I don't know, like it's cool for now. I assume, like the big 4-0 is coming up in a year. So I assume my time will come. I remember when my dad finally had to get glasses and it was just like, oh my gosh, dad's old now. Like, he probably turned 39. Yeah. But I know my time is coming.
Yeah. I think I was like 41 when I started wearing glasses. Slowly started wearing glasses. I blame all the computer work I was doing long ago, but who knows?
I think I was in elementary school when I got glasses.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. When I was younger, it was like once a year, if not every 6 months, I was getting a new prescription.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just mean last few years starting doing it, but yeah, it's one of those things. It sucks when you're filming.
Yeah.
For me, anyways. I don't know. I'm still not used to them. I always take them on and off and mess with them, especially when I'm filming too. Like when I'm talking, I feel like I don't know. I feel like people are like it's distracting.
I don't like them for thumbnails. They like always glare no matter what you're doing your thumbnails.
I guess I don't have to get so thick of glasses either, right? But I don't know. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I'm ready to start my next project. I'm thinking it might be fencing.
I've been waiting for them.
I know you have.
defensive videos.
I know everyone out there else is waiting also for some of these fencing videos. So
hey, 'tis the season. Like this is the weather to do fencing.
Yes, it is. It's perfect weather actually. It's cool and it's sunny. So yeah. So I'm thinking that may be my next project. So I'm gonna see if I could grind out some of these videos this month. I'm hoping I can. Don't hold me to it, but I'm hoping to do more than usual. We'll see how it goes. And I started my end of the year video, editing it. So
how's that going?
I'm just starting it. So
I mean, today is the second, so
yes,
he's got a little bit.
He does.
Last year it took me a month to edit, so I'm hoping I can be faster this year, but we'll see. I don't know. I think that's it. What's up, Ben? Did you kill any more deers?
Nope. You know, I almost got one Wednesday, and I happened to look up on the hill, and my neighbor is sitting in his truck, like staring at the woods, and he got one, and it scared off the ones I was going to get. So It's like I'm just like looking up the hill. It's like I can see him, so I know he can see me. And he's probably laughing like, "Ha ha, I got him."
Was that before Ben?
And then Thursday, like I really, really wanted to get one on Thanksgiving Day, and so I'm out. I'm camped out, and I'm waiting, and they never showed up. I looked up. He's same spot again, camped out again, and he finally, I think it was like 9:30. I finally see him fire up his truck and turn around and leave. It's like, yep. After yesterday, those deer got wise. So, no new ones. I almost had one this morning, but lo and behold, I see the deer out there on my spot. I go to grab my rifle. I come back, and there's a buck chasing off everybody. It's like, okay, like this is the second buck I've ever seen on my property, and he's like disrupting the whole show. And so he chased everybody off into the woods. I mean, it is that time of year. It's the rut. So missed out today, but oh well. It's all right. Like this week out of any week, like I don't really think I need to worry about having one more animal to process. We got our last pig class this weekend, and it's like, okay, like I could, like Monday, Tuesday, that'd be cool. Maybe Wednesday. I probably better not shoot one on Thursday, that kind of situation, just to kind of lighten the load.
Morning of the class, you should probably do it.
Can you imagine? Everybody shows up to the class, and I'm already down there, and I'm like, I got the water on for the pig, and I'm like trying to finish up cleaning this deer.
Twofer.
It'd be a twofer. Like, hey, everybody, you're going to learn how to process four-legged animals.
Heck yeah.
All right. So on the note of deer, that was kind of my week last week, like towards the beginning of the week. I processed out both deer, just one. It was the buck. All cleaned up and deboned and ground and everything we did. We wound up with, I think it was like 54 pounds of meat, which, I mean, it's not like doing a pig.
Is that for two?
That was just for the one.
Oh, one.
Just that buck.
Okay.
He wasn't a huge buck, but he was definitely a lot bigger than the doe I'd shot. So I got that all processed, got that in the fridge or the freezer.
You muted yourself, Ben.
You muted.
I muted myself. I'm sorry. I was stoked. I had to reach over and pick up my notepad and bumped it. I was pretty stoked. That's meat from our land that those deer have been eating my apples all year. All of my trees, really. Like, they've been eating the orchard. So it's nice. It's like, okay, like, you guys eat my trees that I planted and I'm trying to grow food with, and I'll just eat you. So it's full circle now.
Same thing with the pigs. The same thing.
Same thing with the pigs. So something I did this week that was kind of cool. I actually wish I had filmed this, and I didn't. So there was this like little stove Meg bought at an auction we went to, and it's been sitting for like a year. I had taken it. It was all rusty. It had a broken leg. It's like a little buck stove or something like that. It's the kind that are like, they're long like deep, kind of short and squat. I forget the name of it. I would have to look up the name. You can still buy them, I think, because I was able to get legs to replace the broken legs. Anyways, I cleaned it up, got it all like oiled and good looking, and set it on a pallet, and it just kind of sat for, I don't know, better part of a year. Well, I've been thinking of ways I could cold smoke bacon, and the stove popped into my head, and it was like I could just run just like an elbow up out of that stove and then run it straight into my smoker, and then that stovepipe would allow the smoke to cool down a little bit, and then I could
What smoker? The one you
my Oklahoma Joe's smoker.
Oh, okay.
So that's usually what I do my smoking on, but it's kind of hard to control the heat because the firebox, like, it's made for cooking meat. It's made for, your brisket and your pork butt. It's not made for cold smoking. And so the problem I've had is keeping the meat cold. So I went and I got this stove. I think this was Wednesday. I got the stove, brought it up here. I went to Lowe's. I'd got a length of chimney and an elbow and like a flare end of ducting. And I was able to connect it to my Oklahoma Joe's smoker right on the firebox. Lit a fire in this stove and am able to maintain really, really low temperatures for a very long time. So I had some bacon that we had processed at the last class. I showed everybody how we process bacon, and it was just sitting under cure, and it can sit under cure for as long as you need. It's not going to go bad once you get it on salt. So it was ready, brought it up, threw it in the smoker, and I was able to maintain about 90 degrees, which is a little bit warm. I was able to get it a little bit cooler that night, but I was able to hold this bacon like at or under 90 degrees for 24 hours, I think is how long I smoked it. I actually just cut it up today. It is so smoky. Like, I've washed my hands like 50 times and I can still smell the smoke on my fingers. Like, that's how smoky this bacon was. So I think 24 hours might be a little bit much for smoking bacon. The last stuff I did for 16 hours, and it was like perfect. It was the best bacon I've ever eaten in my life. I was like, well, what's 24 hours like? So I smoked it all the way till noon on Thanksgiving. And so having that stove on there, that stove, it's got the flue, it's got the damper. So I'm able to get a fire going in that thing and then just choke that thing down to where it's barely burning and there's no heat coming through. And I think I only had to put wood in it like 3 times, and it was awesome. So the idea worked. I was able to cold smoke bacon extremely easily, I might add. Like, set it and forget it. Like, if you don't see smoke, go add a chunk of wood and keep going. So that kind of freed me up on Thanksgiving. So let me talk about this turkey. Brian, if you are listening, that was 1 unit of a turkey that you gave me. This turkey was nearly 50 pounds. Like, it was the biggest freaking, like, it looked like an ostrich. Like, this was the biggest freaking turkey I have ever tried to cook. It didn't fit in any pot, pan, tray, anything we had. The only thing I had was, we've got these ginormous steam service trays that we also got at an auction. They're in a lot of stuff that we bought. And it was our big giant pot that we make stock out of during our classes, and these 2 giant steam service trays. They don't fit in our oven. Like, we can't use them for anything. So we've just kicked them around for like a year and a half. But I have a nice pig cooker that I built out of cinder blocks. And lo and behold, these great big giant steam service trays fit nicely in this this pig cooker. Okay, so this turkey completely filled one of these steam service trays, and they're like 24 inches. Like, they're huge. So I plopped this turkey in there. We brined this turkey. I plopped it in one of these steam service trays, and then I put it in that pig cooker, and I cooked it for 8 hours. All right, so the way I like my turkey, I like to pull it off the smoker and then basically pull the bones out and eat the meat. Like, I like the meat falling apart. After 8 hours, and mind you, I held temperature in this pig cooker at like between 325 and 350 for 8 hours. I smoked this darn turkey all day long. I think we ate at, 5, 6, something like that, 6 o'clock. I pulled this thing off at like 5:30, and I could only get the internal temperature up to like 175. Like, it was almost there. Probably another hour, it probably would have got up a little bit more, and it was defrosted. It was in a brine, so it wasn't frozen. Yeah, it was, it was perfectly cooked. I'll say that. Like, I've eaten turkey at other people's houses, and a lot of people, they just cook it till it's like 160, 170, and then you can slice the breast to make nice slices, and it's juicy and all that. That's how this turkey was. It wasn't falling off the bone like I like it, but honestly, this was one of the best turkeys I've eaten in a long time. It wasn't too smoky. It was like perfectly salted because we brined it. Like, it was kind of cool. Yeah, so that was an adventure. Cooking on a cooker that you've only cooked on once is kind of stressful. The last time I cooked on this cooker, I talked about on the last podcast. We called it the pig incinerator. We did not incinerate the turkey. I wasn't about to, because I've only got one more turkey, and that's the one I got from Jason, and we're saving that one for either Christmas or New Year's or something like that. And I wasn't about to do a repeat of.
At least you had that. At least you made that smoker. You kind of made that smoker right on time, because where else would you have cooked that turkey?
So I checked to see if it would fit in my Oklahoma Joe's smoker, and even if I took out all but one rack, it would have touched all 4 walls.
Wow!
So like, it wouldn't fit in there. It definitely would not have fit in Meg's oven.
Yeah.
It wouldn't fit on the barbecue. Like, there was nowhere I could fit it. And it's like, pig cooker it is. I'm glad I built that thing.
Yeah.
We raised a 50-pound turkey one year, and we had to cut it in half with a Sawzall so we could get it in the oven.
That's about where I was with this thing. It was like, well, I guess I could like spatchcock it, or just like piece it out, and we'll just cut it in half. Like, I guess we could just break it down further.
Yep.
So yeah, Brian, if you are listening, that turkey was delicious, by the way. Very, very happy with Brian's turkey. I really appreciate the turkey. He gave me this whole turkey because we went and helped him process his turkeys and his chickens. And it was like, this is like 50 pounds of meat. Like, I feel like I'm being overpaid. But now I will say, we ate every last bite of it. I think we were out of leftovers by Sunday. So
Cool.
None of it went to waste.
How did the deer jerky come out?
We over dried it big time. It's like eating wood chips. I mean, it's once you put it in your mouth. Honestly, the best course of action would be to just pound it into powder and make pemmican out of it, because that's how dry it is. Like, it is ridiculously dry. The next deer we make jerky out of, we will not dehydrate it for 24 hours. That was insane. But yeah, I've always wanted to make pemmican. It's you dry meat, pound it into powder, and then mix it 50-50 with fat. You can add berries and stuff like that if you want, and you make kind of protein bars, and it'll last like hundreds of years. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do that with all this jerky.
You probably got plenty of pig fat this year with all the pigs.
That's a understatement. Actually, we are so behind on fat usage. Like, we used lard for everything. We cook, like, that is our cooking oil, is lard. And we still have lard, like unprocessed pig fat, in the freezer from last year. And like, we go through some lard. We probably go through, I don't know, half a gallon plus a month of lard. So yeah, we're sitting pretty good on the pig fat situation. All right, I'm going to talk about deer skin. So I tanned both my deer skins. That was Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving, and it's a bunch of work. Like, I'm going to say that. Like, my hat is off to anybody, like a taxidermist who has to do a lot of skins like that. I understand why it's just easier to use the chemicals. It gets the job done quick, all of that. I'm doing this the old school method. I've got a book that I bought off this old guy at a Pioneer Village. This guy's doing a demonstration. He's just some, 80-something-year-old dude. His name's Bill. And he has this little pamphlet that he wrote, and he explains how to do, I think the little book's called Bill's Buckskins. And like step by step, here's the tools you need, that kind of stuff. Little, I don't know, maybe 20-page booklet. I followed this thing almost to the T. His is for making leather, for like making clothes and stuff like that. But all of the information's still there. I got to talk to him last year at this Pioneer Village and ask him some questions. And I told him, hey, I'm going to do a cowhide. And he was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. It's a little bit harder than a deer skin. Well, this year I walked up and I was like, hey, we talked to you last year. And he's like, I think he kind of remembered us. And I was like, I bought your book and we talked to you about doing a cowhide. He's like, did you? I was like, yeah, it's a rug in our living room now. And he gives me this crazy look and he's like, you actually did it? I was like, yeah, I did it. It was a bunch of work, but I did it. And he's like, oh, that's so awesome. Like, so then we sat and talked, and I told him I used his methods and it worked, and he was very surprised. I think it's just because he understands how much work it is to tan a hide, especially the manual way. So I was able to tan the doe skin that I had in, I don't know, half a day. Super easy to tan. Like, it was so soft. I was able to do most of the breaking just by hand. The breaking is when you break the fibers of the skin to where it becomes pliable, like everybody's used to with leather. But the buckskin was a different story. The buckskin took a lot of work. You get a board, like a paddle, and you have to sit here and just like lean on the hide and rub it with this paddle to get it to break down. It was a bunch of work. In fact, by the end of the day, I was like, I think Brett had came in, he was doing something. I was like, hey, you take over. I can, like, my shoulder is wrecked from scraping the hide and rubbing this hide and breaking this hide. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Got it finished up. I think that was Saturday. Got it finished up, but it wasn't dry yet. And so I had a space heater out there on it, hoping it would help it dry, but it's been kind of cold here. And so it didn't dry. So I went out Sunday morning, first thing after chores, and checked it. And it was mostly dry. Like, there was one little spot that was still kind of moist. So I brought it inside to finish drying off, and I'm actually sitting on it right now. It's pliable. Like, it's really cool, like having an animal skin. I don't know. That's just me. I would see animal skins for sale at various places. You go to shows or various craft places, they'll sell, animal skins and stuff like that. And I always want so much money for them. And now I'm like cranking them out myself. It's like, man, this is like a bucket list thing I've always wanted to learn how to do. And like, I'm doing it. So I'm stoked. Now I need more skins. You know what I really want to try? I want to try a pig skin. Like, that's got to be so hard because you can't have any fat on the hide. But I really want to try a pig skin. Exactly. Like
a homemade
football. That's what they used to be made out of.
I know. That'd be awesome to make a homemade football. Or like a baseball or something.
Isn't a baseball cowhide?
I think so.
I mean, that's a whole nother skill set too. Like, learning how to make the leather is one thing, but then like learning how to do the leather work.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of leather work when I was, making knives, because, you need to make a sheath to go with your knife. And so it's like, well, I guess I'm learning how to work leather too, but this is a whole different ball game, like actually making the leather.
That'd be cool, man. I know.
So yeah,
need more deer.
The buckskin took me all day Saturday, and I'm serious. Like, it took me all day Saturday working that thing. And so there was a little apprehension. Like, I saw some deer out at the spot, and there was some apprehension. It's like, do I really want to do this right before our last pig class? Like, but then thinking about it, it's like, well, you can just salt the hide and put it in the fridge or the freezer and then just get to it when you get to it. But yeah, it's a bunch of work. My shoulder's still pretty wrecked, actually. Like I made a scraper for scraping this hide, and my hands are wrecked from holding on to it, and my shoulder's wrecked. It's like, man, I'm starting to feel like an old man. I don't feel as bad as I did Sunday. Sunday I was pretty sore. Sunday I was kind of, walking around, my shoulder hurts, that kind of situation. But
the workout.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
Guys who do it full time or who used to do it full time, they must have been rugged. I can't imagine.
It's kind of like the guys like blacksmiths.
Yep.
See how ripped and how big the arms of a blacksmith are. It's like, yeah. I assume leather workers were a lot like that too. I see why they mechanized it. They figured out how to mechanize hide tanning. I understand now because that was quite a feat.
I went to do
So other than that, that was my week in a nutshell, or in a buckskin. So it was fun. I feel like I'm checking things off the list of things I've always wanted to do.
That's good, man. New skills, learning new skills. That's great. You're next, Al. You got to do yours.
I could do my beavers next. I know.
Yeah, or just send them to Ben.
There you go.
Actually, I have a muskrat a good friend of ours gave me to practice on. It's still in the freezer. It's been in the freezer for like 3-4 years, something like that. So I've got a muskrat that I might. Yeah. Did you know we have muskrats here?
Mm-mm. What do they look like?
They look like a big freaking rat. Like they're a big, ugly, stinky rat.
Maybe I have, and I'm just mistaken it for a rat.
They're aquatic. I'll have to dig it out of the freezer and skin it. I know Meg was cleaning out the freezer a while ago, and she found it. She's like, there's a rat in my freezer. So I put it back in the freezer because I wasn't ready to deal with it. But
yeah,
I'll probably get that out of the freezer. She's giving me the hairy eyebrow over here.
You never know what you'll find in someone's freezer.
Actually, I think I have my first deer head that I got when we moved out here still in the freezer. Is this still in there, Meg? That deer head? Oh gosh, that means we need to clean out the freezer. If we're losing stuff in the freezer, it's time to clean out freezers.
If you lose a deer head, yeah, there's a problem.
It was a little forky. Like it had these little ridiculous spikes on its head. So it's not a very big deer head.
Oh, okay.
That's funny.
Like, dang. How big is this freezer?
This is our gargantuan freezer we have out in the shed that weighs like 400 pounds empty. It's in that freezer. So it probably is lost. It probably got pushed to the bottom the last time, one of the last times we did chickens, and it's probably still down there.
Yeah. All right. All right. I mean, yeah, I think we're way over an hour here. So yeah, thank you guys. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at deer heads in the freezer. Thank you guys for listening and watching this podcast. We really appreciate it so much. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow on our podcast, and like these videos and comment if you like. But thank you guys for listening and watching, and hopefully every one of you guys have a great week. Thank you.
Have a good week, everyone.
Later, everybody.